If you want to reach people with information that actually matters, they have to be accompanied by a visual that they can read easily, that gets them to stop scrolling.
I promise, now that we tell you this, you won't be able to unsee it. Municipalities default to these types of posts that have no soul to them. Make a promise leaving this episode that you will not post another stock image to your social media channels. I promise on social media, it just never works.
In this episode, we're talking about why your town's graphics look outdated, why it matters, and how to fix them. We see it so often with government entities where they're posting on social media, but the graphics that they choose are terribly designed. You can hardly read them, so residents are just scrolling right past. If you want to reach people with information that actually matters, they have to be accompanied by a visual that they can read easily, that gets them to stop scrolling, so they actually read what's in the content. So we've got some tips and a framework to talk about those things today. But before we get into that, we want to have a little bit of fun, and we want to take a look at some examples of some of these bad posts that we've seen on social media.
You don't have to look too hard to find them. And this is not, obviously, we love municipalities, we love towns, we work with them. We know that they're doing great work. And maybe social media just, you don't have the expertise, you don't have the time. So you throw some of this stuff up. We're not hating on that. We're just saying there is a better way. And so we have 4 examples. And I pulled the first one up here. Kevin, you're the one that found this example. Can you talk me through, like, what am I even looking at? Because if I'm being honest, if I'm imagining myself on my phone, first off, it's already small on my full laptop screen. I couldn't read any of this if it was on my phone. And it's got some signatures in the bottom right corner. So what is this?
So this is a proclamation that this municipality put out. I couldn't even tell you exactly what it's about, but that's what the document is. So the mayor, must have signed a proclamation regarding, something going on in the community, and their way of getting that out there was to post this image, which, obviously is very text heavy. Like you said, you can't read it hardly from a computer. There's no way you're reading it from a phone. Mm-hmm. And also when you're scrolling through and, that pops up, you're scrolling right past that. The quality of it also is like very poor. Mm-hmm. So not only is it like very text heavy, but the words themselves in the font is blurry. So it's a terrible way to get the word out there. Obviously, a lot of times when you're creating a proclamation about something, it's a positive thing to be highlighting. They're talking about something good that's going on in the community, but this is not the way to do it. Even if it was just a photo of the mayor reading the proclamation at the board meeting, and then you can put the content from it in the content of the post.
You can make a video and you can put text about what the proclamation was over like some B-roll of your town or something. But yeah, when it's this text heavy, you want to opt out of that 99% of the time.
For sure.
Okay. All right. Here's the next one. And I'll talk about this. This is a recycling notice. And it says the village is still actively looking for a prime location for recycling containers due to recent construction to repave and stripe a specific lot. And the village will continue to send more updates regarding this matter. So please be sure to follow our social media page and village website. So a couple things here. The end of this, telling people to follow their social media, and this is what they put on social media. It's like, it's clearly self-serving in a certain way based on just the language that's being used. But then clearly this post also would not stop the scroll. It is I don't even know if you would say Canva style. I think you could make this in Microsoft Word. And
this is clip art for sure.
It might have been taken from another document that they had and like cropped into a square for social. Mm-hmm. There are so many more engaging ways. And you could imagine even just a 20-second video of someone standing and explaining this, and that would have got more engagement and wouldn't have been much of a harder lift. So there's probably some comical ways you could do videos like this too. But I think for something like this, you just watch the text heavy nature. The whole like block of text that's in white could have been the description of the post.
100%.
That's an easy way to get you closer to just posting photos is realizing any text that's on the screen most likely could be the description.
Yeah. And don't shy away from putting a lot of text there.
Correct.
If it's valuable thing, like information, people will read it.
We'll stop the scroll with the image.
Yeah.
Stay, because if they're curious enough, because of what you posted in the video or the photo, they're going to look at the description.
Yep. What do we got next? Oh, I love this one. I love this photo. You know, obviously, as you can see on there, it didn't get much engagement. And so the Cook County government posted this. And I want to say that they have like almost 30,000 followers. And what did it get? One like?
One like.
So you're advertising an event for free microchips and rabies shots and things for your animals. They use a photo that's obviously a stock photo. Not only that though, but it's like you use a photo where the animals in it look so sad. They both look like they're about to start crying. And I'm like, who sees this and thinks I want to go to that event?
Yeah.
Like, at least show, if you're going to use a stock photo, like
the happiest dog ever.
Yeah, had the dog or the cat be happy outside, you know, enjoying themselves.
Immediately makes you think.
Yes. I don't want to put my pet through that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good call out. And to that end, you can also link to the event page in a photo or a video. If you've done some sort of event like this in the past that you had some photos of, that would be a great opportunity. If this is some sort of connection to like a clinic, there's people that serve at that clinic that would be great faces to have in that promo, excited to do something like this for the community. And this is a great positive thing to be highlighting. But yeah, to your point, when I see this photo, I'm thinking, oh, that's so sad for those pets.
I know.
All right, last one here is a Veterans Day post. And I'm glad that we chose to highlight this one because this doesn't just apply to Veterans Day. Every time there's a holiday, I promise, now that we tell you this, you won't be able to unsee it. You're going to see that people default, towns, municipalities default to these types of posts that have no soul to them.
Yep.
And when you have a Veterans Day post, some towns have a veterans park. There are definitely people in your community that have served. There's so many different ways you could highlight a local version of a day like Veterans Day. And it's such a good way for people to engage because they're going to want to say thanks for serving. But this is not going to do that. This is not going to facilitate that. And any town could have posted this.
Yeah.
So that's another way of thinking about it is like, could any town grab this graphic and post it? Yes. That means we're not going to post it. That would be one of my sort of litmus tests around the type of content we want to post. But anything you want to say on like holidays and how we think about what we post for them?
I think we're going to get into some of that, you know, later in the episode. So I'll kind of just save it for that.
Okay.
But yeah, now obviously we've got a good idea of some of the bad graphics that governments post. So let's give away some key things that governments can do to improve the graphics that they are posting. So we want to keep it simple. And funny enough, our first point is simplicity. So we want to make it readable at a glance. So if you're and you can see from our first bad post example that we used, that is exactly what you do not want to do. No one can read that. Like you said, you've got to think about it that most people are viewing this stuff from their phone. So you want to keep it simple. You want to keep your graphics simple.
Put it through some sort of test, I think, to your point, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, they do this with YouTube videos. Actually, there's like a thumbnail tester to see what it's like on a phone. But I think the same could be true for your graphic. Is if someone can't immediately know what you're saying, then I would shy away from posting it as a graphic.
So, and then just some practical things with it too. You know, it's like you want to have one headline, one visual, one clear action or purpose, you know, maybe 8 to 12 words on the graphic, maybe. Yeah. And you want to make sure that it's very easily readable.
Yeah. Contrast is actually really important with this. So the colors that you're choosing, if the sky in the photo you choose is like kind of whited out, you try to put text over that and the contrast isn't good. Like those are little things,
Mhm.
but again, it's like you only have so much time to stop the scroll, and then the visual has to get them to the description where there's going to be some sort of, I'm assuming, like call to action or thing you want them to go do beyond that.
Yep.
So this framework has 3 keys to better graphics. This first one was simplicity. The second one I want to highlight here is a word we like to talk about a lot, which is just consistency. And here is a good time to call out that you're not going to be using graphics all the time on social media. We want to use them actually fairly sparingly,
Yep.
but when we do use them, there is a power in consistently using some of the same graphics. So if that's that something, in your town is going on and there's a water main break, you're always going to use the same type of graphic for those types of community announcements. That way, when people see that, they go, oh, something's happening in my town. I'm going to go to the description to find out more.
Mm.
And that it's also easily repeatable. But that's what we mean by consistency. We also mean when you post a graphic, if your town has like colors or fonts or whatever those things are, great to pull in so that people just know, oh, when I see X, it's from our town. And so we want to be smart about this. Templates for recurring content, and there's another element to this, which is tone. You want some sort of consistency in your tone. You can be, I would say, warm and conversational. For most communities, that's going to work like 90% of the time. And then if there's something that is a little bit more legal or needs to be more press release, then you can go hyper professional for those posts. But your tone should be relatively similar, I would say, warm and conversational, something good to shoot for the majority of your posts. Would you agree with sort of that assessment?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Hey, quick break. If you're listening to this and you're thinking, yeah, our town social media definitely could do better, then this is for you. At City Social, we partner with municipalities and we help them communicate clearly and consistently in a way that actually connects with residents. We've served over 80 communities at this point. We've reached 2 million plus residents with local government communication. For our client, the Village of Willow Springs, we doubled their follower count from 2,000 to 4,000 in a town of just 5,600. And events like their Willow Springs Blues Fest gained massive traction, with posts reaching over 20,000 people and generating over 2,200 website clicks. Another mayor that we recently worked with told us that the response from our community has been overwhelmingly supportive, and we're seeing more likes, more shares, and interactions than ever before. So if you'd like to move from we post when we remember to post to people actually engage because we show up, head to citysocialms.com and book a quick call. We would love to chat with you. All right, let's dive back into the show.
And then our last point here for our 3 keys for better graphics is specificity. And what we mean by that is making your graphics undeniably local.
Yes,
You
I love this
want
one.
people to, see people that are actually a part of the community. You want them, friends, neighbors, village staff. And
That's
then
why the
also-
Veterans Day post didn't work.
Exactly.
Nothing about that feels local.
Yeah, so that's a good point. So going back to that, you asked me my thoughts on that. And what I would say was, there's different ways to do it. One, a really easy one for a Veterans Day, if your community has a Veterans Day ceremony, post those pictures of it.
Yeah.
People want to see that. If you don't, which I know, a lot of communities don't have it, there's still other things you can do. If you have, a prominent American flag somewhere in your community that people would know, snap a nice photo of that and use that as the Veterans Day graphic, or post.
Let's pause it
with
for a
your
second.
content.
That's a good one to call out, because a lot of communities do not have those hyper local photos. They've never gone around town and just gotten pictures of things like American flags or landmarks. That's a good first step. You can either go hire a photographer to do that. You can have a third-party agency like a City Social. That's one of the things that we offer, is doing photography and videography. And we send people out usually on like a quarterly basis to get pictures of the actual town. But that is something, if I'm running social media for a town, I'm immediately thinking, okay, if it's winter, we want winter photos of our city that we are posting that feel like they were taken today.
Yep.
And you want that in every season so you can accomplish what you're saying with that American flag photo. And it doesn't feel like such a hard thing if you know, okay, Veterans Day is coming up. We already sent out the photographer for the quarterly shoot. We already have that American flag photo. Now we just position it. We know that that's what we're posting that day.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. And then another idea, you might not have a Veterans Day ceremony, but I guarantee you almost every community has a veteran.
Yes,
You know,
share a
so
story of
finding
veteran.
someone, exactly. Finding someone, take a photo of them, share a little bit about your story, and using that to, communicate the message of Veterans Day versus, a stock graphic that you download somewhere online.
Okay, so if it looks outdated because there's way too much text on it, or it's just straight up an event poster, it's not good. It feels like it's not good for social. It wasn't made for social. If it's not mobile friendly, what we want to do now is we actually want to like flip this on its head, and we want to give away some quick wins. What are some quick things you can do as a municipality, as a town, to steer your posts, your graphics in the right direction? And the first one is to say goodbye to stock footage.
Yep.
Make a promise leaving this episode that you will not post another stock image to your social media channels. Yeah, I'm not even going to give you there's probably like a reason you could use it on like a poster or something in the future, but I promise on social media, it just never works.
Yep.
What we would recommend to swap that out for is some different types of shots. So one, you could send the photographer out into your community to get them. Second, if you don't even have those images yet, you could go with an iPhone, and you could have somebody at the next event just taking pictures on their phone and use some of those. And then residents even could share moments, or you could look at pictures that you already have from previous events. But is there anything you would add to this one where if someone's saying, okay, I'm not going to do stock footage anymore, how do I transition, to these, what you guys are suggesting?
Yeah, the only thing I would add is that authenticity is better than perfection. Some of those stock photos might look like professional and really nice, but 9 times out of 10, they're not going to perform nearly as well as that iPhone photo that actually shows something in your community.
Yep, that's good. So I think there's 3 practical ways to get some quick wins to make sure that your graphics do look modern. And what I would start with is just, we need to have a funeral for stock footage. No more stock videos or stock photos. This should be across the board for your municipality, but since we're specifically talking about graphics here, you want pictures that are local of your town. And even though you're going to have text over it, if you're having an event, you want people in your community, looks like they are in your parks, they have your landmarks in the background. Like, that is so key to making it look modern. I think people 9 times out of 10 see right through stock footage. And while it looks perfect and pristine, that's almost why people don't see themselves in it at all. And so you need that human element. Authenticity beats perfection. And that's why stock images need to go the way of the wind.
Yeah, and I think even with, like those community update posts where, it is a graphic that you use.
Yep.
But, when it's a community update from the police department and you have that image there with, a little bit of text on it, have that image be of the actual police department.
Yeah.
Have it be, a squad car from your community, or a fire truck from your community, or an actual public works vehicle from your community, because again, it just ties that sense of community and that connection you're building with people.
It's a good first one for sure. What's the second one here?
So the second one is remove your logo. And remember, we're talking about graphics on social media.
Yeah.
Again, you do not have to have a logo on your graphics because you're posting it on your social media page, which 90% of the time you probably have your logo as your profile picture.
Yes.
So as residents see this post, they're already going to see your logo and the name of your municipality right at the top. So you do not need those on your graphics.
It's good. And I think brand obsession is not, it doesn't feel resident focused.
Yeah.
If it's resident focused, it's going to resonate, and that's what's more important. So the logo, again, they know it's coming from you. You don't need to worry about your logo. The third one is to optimize for phones. And we've harped on this, but I just want to really quick run through. You want big text that's you can read really quickly, you want strong contrast, you want probably a large focal point. The image should be like the main image, and minimal information. Put all the details in the caption with whatever your call to action is. And I think if you do these three things, it really sets you up nicely to be like, what we're posting when it comes to graphics, we can still feel confident in, even though we know graphics are not going to be our primary strategy. And this is probably a good time to, as we wrap up, kind of just remind everybody that we do have some free resources. One of them is the City Social Idea Bank. And we put together 150 plus real world post ideas, and we've categorized them by type, by month, by format. And then I think one of my favorites is actually by lift level. So is this post really hard to execute and create, or is it easy? And we want your municipality to use this. So you can go check it out. Get the Idea Bank for free at citysocialms.com/ideabank. And thank you for watching. Thank you for the work that you do. And we will see you in the next one.